student issues. So tuition is becoming extremely important to me. And please make sure that when you're addressing this question, you're addressing it specifically to the topic that I'm about to ask. Under your framework, and under your party's framework, what are the plans of each party up there to either raise tuition, keep tuition the same, or reduce tuition? Please speak to that issue only, and not to a funding formula surrounding it.
Maybe we'll just go in order of how people are sitting. Could start with Mr. Nakvi.
Thank you very much for asking this question. For the first time in the history of Ontario, not only we saw a freezing of tuition fees for 2 years as promised by Métis Liberal government, we also saw a regulated approach. We have seen a regulated approach to tuition fees. It's not anymore the prerogative of governments to increase tuition fees willy-nilly as it has been done in the past. It might shock a lot of you to know that when NDP was in power in this province, they had promised that they're going to freeze tuition fees. How many went to school between 1991 and 1995? And did you ever see any tuition fees during that period? Not one single day, and that same promise was made at that time. In fact, let me show you something. Let me show you a little chart. Everybody loves to prod, right? In the classroom, I'm a lecturer, so I have to do this. When NDP was in power, the tuition fees went up almost 50%. When Conservatives were in power, the tuition fees went up almost 60%. When Liberals were in power, between 2000 and 2007, the tuition fees went on average about 10%. We have a regulated approach now. So I tell you this to break two myths. There's this consistent myth somehow that we have seen the highest increase in loan.
I understand what it's like to have a student loan. I understand what it's like to put yourself through school. I mean, I had to work 3 jobs myself to put myself in law school. So I understand the difficulties that you face every day for the 3-4 years that you're here. Ask yourself, what the Liberals did, was it enough? Freezing these tuition fees for 2 years. What did we see afterwards? I'm hearing that students are paying an increase of 20%. Now, is this the real answer? Is this what we really need to do? It's not dealing with the problem. What we need to do is work with universities, work with colleges, work with student federations, and have long-term plans to ensure that we are addressing these problems. Through these conversations and through these relationships, we can determine what is the best way that we can keep tuition fees down and we can allow more students to attend.
50% reduction in tuition now, and then gradual elimination of tuition as funding for post-secondary education increases. I know this problem. My son couldn't afford to go to university this year because he doesn't have enough money. I paid last year, but I don't have the money this year. So the Liberals are not quite saying everything about tuition. Professional programs went up 8% last year. This year is going up 8% on the 8%. Next year it will be 8% on the 8%. For others, 5%, and it's 5 on the 5, 5 on the 5, 5 on the 5. So this is going to go up a great deal over the next, or year 2 of your 4-year plan. So we see real problems with that. Say, Ireland, they don't have tuition now. They can do it. They're the growing EU country. Ontario can do the same. Thank you. In Cuba, people get paid to go to university.
Secondary education is a public good, that it doesn't just benefit the recipient of the degree, but it benefits society as a whole. And furthermore, even from a financial perspective, the GDP on average per capita of countries where there is 0 or very, very low tuition fees is higher than countries where there is a high tuition fee. If you want evidence, if you want proof of what I'm saying, okay, the other 3 major parties say, well, our increase was lower than the other guys. No, it wasn't. Yes, it was. We promise it won't be more than this much, and they're not promising. You want real proof? Look at Germany. Look at countries where the Green Party has been in power, and look at the tuition fees. What are they? 0. Okay? The Green Party will lower tuition fees in the short term to $3,000 a year on average. That's probably at least close to the 50% Stuart said. So we have a very similar perspective to that party, and we would be working towards a zero tuition fee over the medium term and long term. Okay?
2003 levels, before his mandate began, and hold them there for the term of the government. That would mean reduce average fees by $460 in the first year, would save students $4,185 over 4 years, according to the Canadian Federation of Students report card. Can I ask you, what good is a 2-year freeze if fees rise for arts and science faculty members by 20% thereafter, or 35, 36% for professional faculties?